Well, my brother and I have very similar backgrounds. We're both applied mathematicians that went to Wall Street in the early 90s. We both worked as quants on various options and swaps, OTC desks for various large banks. I started out at Credit Suisse Financial Products. Then I worked for BNP Paribas, HSBC. My brother has a very similar career trajectory. He was a vol trader for Lehman Brothers. Now I spend most of my time focused on investments for our family office. We tend to allocate exclusively across the alternative sectors. We're obviously very concerned about the current environment, so we can talk about that more later. But we look at real assets, especially given our concerns about the rampant money printing. So we have holdings in real assets. We like quantitative strategies, so we have investments in both funds and proprietary trading shops that kind of rely very heavily on what I'll call AI, big data-driven investment strategies. We can come back to that if you like later. And then we invest in, we do some VC investing, some in funds, some direct, in biotech, in medical devices, and we're extremely excited about the blockchain. And that's one of the reasons I'm excited to be attending your conference.
You've surpassed the main bulk of COVID very well. Share with us your key success factors.
Well, getting through COVID was actually a matter of just getting sick early on. Yes, but that on the physical side, as a business, I think, from an investment perch, it's different. We have the luxury of being able to work online, remotely, and actually, not to detract from all the tragedies involved in the crisis, but in many respects, living in a virtual world is an easier world to live in if you have the ability to fit into that ecosystem. I'm normally a giant frequent traveler, traversing the Atlantic often and on a monthly basis, and through the crisis, I didn't have to do that. I could just take those meetings and calls, from the convenience of my personal office. So I guess that was the somewhat of a silver lining to the whole sad affair.
And what are your plans or investment plans for the next 12 months?
So as I mentioned, we're really excited about blockchain. And not so much all the digital hype around Bitcoin, because I think that while there is a use case for having a digital form of gold, I see that's a limited market. To me, Bitcoin has reached probably the zenith of how much can be accomplished in terms of a digital gold alternative. To me, the real excitement of blockchain is much more with regards to the exciting applications that can be built on it. So I view it as much more kind of through a software lens. How I think the technology is in the process, is going to disrupt a number of different industries. So I'm extremely excited about that. Yeah.
And what brings you, Kurt, to this Monaco Conference hosted by Sir Anthony Ritossa?
Well, you put on such a wonderful event. I mean, you have, there are a number of fascinating families. I always enjoy meeting and talking to other families about what they're interested, particularly with my focus on the investment side of things. I'm very curious to see how other families are reacting to the current investment climate that we're in, kind of where they're making allocation changes in their portfolios. But then on the other side, just the pure investment side, you have a spectacular roster of really interesting companies. And I've actually made some investments in companies that have previously attended your conference. So I'm hoping that trend will continue.